Hi guys, it's Jackie with Intoxicating Arts, and today we're doing Luster Mica Powder Technique 2. And this technique involves stamping an image using a sticky ink pad such as Versamark, a Perfect Medium pad by Ranger, or just any embossing pad. I'm hoping we're going to figure that one out. And you brush the powder over it, and you seal it in with a mist of water. And if you own Perfect Pearls, then you have probably seen this technique before if you've looked it up. But I just want to make sure that that will work with our Luster Mica powders as well, and just kind of go over that and maybe try a couple things. So to start off with, the items that you'll need to do this are one of our Luster Mica powders, and I'm using 4 different colors today. The first one is called Coral Reef Blue, and then Maui Magma, and then Indian Blue, and Hawaiian Orchid. You'll need an ink pad like this, one of Ranger's mini misters, or something similar that will spray out a fine mist of water. Stamps, I'm using various Tim Holtz stamps. I'm going to be using a black cardstock. This one actually has a linen texture on it. Normally I would say to use a non-textured cardstock, but I kind of want to see how it would perform on this. And it's just a really thin black cardstock. I have it trimmed down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is a standard A2 size card. In addition to that, I'm going to try it with this extra special glossy cardstock by Stampland. And the reason I want to do that is because I know it doesn't show up very well on white. It shows up well on white, it's hard to get the excess powder off, so I wanted to try it on a glossy cardstock and see what happens. I just got this at a rubber stamp event, and you can get online at stamplandchicago.com if it does end up working out well. So I'm going to move all this stuff aside and then we'll get started. Okay, so I decided that it would be fun to start off with this stamp set using these circles right here. And this stamp set is called Grunge Cirque, and it's by Tim Holtz. And I'm going to start off using my black cardstock because I know that it does work and look great on the black. I don't know how it's going to work on the white glossy. I'm going to prep my surface using my EK Tools powder tool. I don't remember exactly what they call this, but it has a white powder in it, and you just brush it over your surface to make sure that there's not really any static on there. Kind of helps make sure that the excess powder comes off a little bit easier. It does, however, make your surface a little hazy looking. I'm going to try to clean that up using a dryer. What are those things called? Those, you throw it in the dryer to make sure there's no static cling dryer sheet. So yeah, I forgot that I use this. You can also use the dryer sheet in lieu of this. So another tip. Alright, and then I'm just going to, I might be able to fit this on here 3 times since this is a technique video. I might just do that. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the, you know what, I'm going to pause it really quick because we don't really need to be using the black Perfect Medium on black. So 1 second, I'm going to grab my clear Perfect Medium. Okay, I'm back with my clear Perfect Medium. I just have it in this tiny little jar because it came with Perfect Pearls and they were selling them in the little jars with that set. But I think they actually sell them like this individually now as well. It's the same thing as the black one, it's just clear, so you don't need black Perfect Medium when you're working on a black surface. So I'm going to ink this up here. Alright, hopefully that's good enough. I don't think I missed any spots. I don't know. We'll find out. And then you just want to stamp it on your surface. Make sure you get it down good. Alright. And you can see it on there. I don't know if that's really showing up in the camera. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so now that I'm zoomed in, I'm actually just going to pick it up, but you can see it's stamped on there. One thing that's fun to do with these is kind of have like a rainbow effect maybe. So I'm going to stop there and then do a different color on the rest. And I figured these would work just the same, but I wasn't sure, so I wanted to try it out. Just kind of get that. And then use Coral Reef Blue. The good thing is you can put a bunch on there and then just dump whatever is left back in your jar, so there's really no waste. Alright. And then you want to get the extra off. Actually, you might want to let it dry a little bit. So I'm going to move on to the next powder. So we'll try it with Versamark, and in fairness, I'm going to clean my stamp off. I have my stamp cleaned off now, so I'm going to move on to the next one, which is Versamark. I'm going to finish this one off before I move on to the next one, because I think it probably is fine. So just get your dryer sheet, rub off the extra. It does kind of mute the color a little bit when you rub it off. But it's still very shiny and pretty. It's kind of metallic looking. Looks like it got a lot of it off, so that's good. And then you want to get your mini mister, and you're going to just spray it from afar to seal in the ink. Still got it really soaked. So I'm going to have to dry that before I move on to my next technique, or it's going to get messed up. So you can see it worked very well. It's nice and shiny. And we've just sealed that in there so it's not going to rub off. So we're great with the Perfect Medium. I'm going to dry this off because I really soaked it down. I'm going to do the next two techniques before I spray it with water again because I'm getting this warpage here, so I want to make sure that I can avoid that as much as possible because it kind of affects you when you're stamping. So next is Versamark. I've cleaned my stamp off. It doesn't really look like it, but it's clean. And I will ink this up here. Alright, nice transfer there. And we'll do a couple different colors this time. Hawaiian Orchid. Oops. Right, I don't really need to put it on like it's an embossing powder. So I'm actually just going to put that back in there. There we go. And then I will do Indian Blue, which I'm running a little low on. And I'm going to have them meet in the middle. Indian Blue shows up more green on darker colors. Okay. And that is looking really nice. I'm going to wipe it off and seal it in. Or I'm going to wait until the end to seal this in, but I'm going to show you the difference between the Perfect Medium and the Versamark. I'm not really seeing a difference as far as coverage or anything like that. Hawaiian Orchid's a color shifter, so you might kind of see that a little bit. And so is the Indian Blue. So you can kind of see the color shifting happening. Alright, so now we'll move on to our really inexpensive embossing pad. I've had this for probably 4 years, and so that's kind of another thing to take into consideration. I've had it for a really long time, but we're going to try it out. And to be fair, I'm going to clean my stamp off. My stamp is cleaned off, so now I'm going to ink it up with this embossing pad by Craft Smart. This is one of those embossing pads that looks white when it goes on, so that's another difference as well. Alright, so I'm going to put some on here, and I want to see what color combinations I have not done yet. I didn't really do a ton of the Coral Reef Blue the first time. I just got a little bit over there. So we'll do Coral Reef Blue with one of my favorites, which is the Hawaiian Orchid. Okay, I'm going to flick this in the trash. And I'm going to use my dryer sheet to get up the excess. Okay, so far that looks great. And then I'm going to spritz it with the water. Okay, and I'm just going to dry that off. As you can see, all three of these different inks performed great. Even the really inexpensive, I guess off-brand, I don't know. I don't know if it's an off-brand or not, but it's really inexpensive. And it's been in my craft room for 4 years, and it still worked great and held everything on there. Nothing's wiping off. It's all staying in. So they all worked really nice. Yep. So there's the results of multiple different ink pads used with Luster mica powders. And I'm going to try to squeeze in it with the gloss. So let's try that. I'm back, and I just thought of a horrible flaw in my glossy paper plan. I think the ink will actually just rub off because it's glossy paper. But we're going to give it a go just because I already have the camera rolling. And, well, I talked about it in the beginning of the video, so I might as well just give it a try. So, I'm going to try it with the Ranger Black Perfect Medium, and we'll see what happens. But I don't really have very high hopes for it. I think it's going to rub off. Okay. Okay. Looks very interesting on there. And then we'll do Maui Magma. You know what? I think it might actually stay on, but we'll see. Alright, so Versamark is next. Alright, and then brush this on here. The Black Perfect Medium definitely allows it to show up a lot more, in my opinion. And we still don't know if these are going to rub off, but I'm doing all of them just for fun. So the next one is the embossing pad. Alright. And let's see, Hawaiian Orchid. They all appear to be working, but the big test is going to be whether they survive getting smudged. Before I seal it in, I'm just going to use this big fluffy brush that actually came with my Perfect Pearls set and try to get the excess powder off. The glossy cardstock is now completely dry, and it's time to see the ultimate test, if it's going to withstand getting rubbed over. So I'm going to try to have a somewhat clean finger here for this test. And I'm just going to rub. Oh, yep. It pretty much all came off. Let's see. It doesn't smear, so that's nice. But look, it's pretty much all in my finger now, and there's like nothing left on there. So I'll show you a close-up after it's been rubbed. So there's still a little bit of sheen to it, but it's kind of splotchy. So not that great. So this is what the Versamark one looks like before I'm going to rub it. And this is what the embossing powder one looks like, which didn't really have a chance to dry before part of that problem happened. Okay, I'm going to try to get another finger somewhat clean here and see what happens. The Versamark one doesn't even really look good from the start. Yeah, it's just all rubbing off. Totally. It's all on my finger. So the fact that it's not porous is really not working that well for it. You know, you still have some color laid down, so you can use it for the color. You have a tiny, tiny bit of a sheen. But overall, not really the effect that I would want. And then we have the embossing powder, or sorry, the embossing pad. This one might actually be sticking it better, but it's coming off. So it definitely came off, but the weird thing is, it looks like it held on to more of the shimmer than the other ones. So let me show you what I mean. You can see in some spots it held on to the shimmer better. Well, that's it for technique number 2. I just wanted to cover how that technique works with our luster mica powder, since you might have tried it with other powders in the past. And as you can see, it works the same. And then just for fun, I threw in the whole glossy cardstock thing to try out. And if you want some color on there, it helps, but it doesn't really work nearly as awesome as just using it on a porous surface. You could totally do this technique with canvas, with wood, with all sorts of things. As long as it's not like glass or plastic, that's not really going to work. It's going to be the same type of thing as with the glossy. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll put links below to our store. And if you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. And you can also email me at intoxicatingarts@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. I have more technique videos coming, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.